lately I've been wondering, what would motivate someone to, I don't know, outsource their video game profile to other skilled players so it looks like they have a higher ranking? Who would possibly do something like that? What about pretending to be a different person that agrees with you when the debates get especially rough to your ego? A lot of people were truly starting to believe that Adrian Dittman and Elon Musk were the same person. People thought that he had played a con on the Twitter using public by making a second account to agree with himself on Twitter. The rumor spread because it didn't seem too far from the truth, considering Elon is someone who has a very fragile ego and is infamously known for suspending people who make fun of him, despite being the wealthiest person on the planet. However, it sounds like this story isn't true. The actual truth being that Adrian Dittman was probably copying the mannerisms of Elon Musk just for fun. I mean, I do have my suspicions. The Twitter space they did together did feel a lot like Elon was overusing the laughing soundboard, so it seemed like—
Recently, as I'm sure you're aware, there's a mass meltdown. There's like an account that's doing rage farming. So
it seemed like the two of them were talking at the same time. But I digress. So there is a true story of this happening. The person that comes to mind is Dean Browning, a potential 7th Congressional District GOP nominee and known politician, who once accidentally used the wrong account and said that he was a black gay guy Trump supporter. I'm a black gay guy, and I can personally say that Obama did nothing for me. I feel respected, which I never do when Democrats are involved. I'm not gonna talk politics. I'm not gonna talk about Obama or Trump or anything. I just think it's really funny that the whitest guy on the planet is pretending to be a black gay guy. What is the motivation for doing something like that? It's something I've been thinking about a lot, and it made me wonder, what kind of person do you have to be to actually make a second account and pretend to be a different person for your own benefit? Then I remembered a story that I'm not proud of. It's a story I never wanted to tell. It's kind of embarrassing, but now I kind of worry it seems like a relevant story in today's landscape. We're now living in a world of artificial intelligence creating machinations to tame fragile egos or market products. The ability to fool people is now easier than ever before thanks to things like ChatGPT. You can convince casual Twitter, Reddit, and Discord users that you're not just one person, but dozens of people. Facebook is even letting fake accounts exist on purpose for the sake of their algorithm. Your face can now be randomly plastered on a personalized advertisement Black Mirror style, making it look like you love the new Ninja Blender as you watch yourself turn it on and use it. It's insane. We've actually reached Black Mirror levels of dystopia and disillusion that makes the future feel kind of bleak and weird. I don't know, I just want to tell a stupid story because I didn't know the future was gonna be this bad, and it's kind of hard to believe we're at this point, because back in 2009, it wasn't as easy. On Roblox, for example, you couldn't even really play it on an iPhone or an Android at this point. So if you wanted to have an alternate account that played in the same server you did, you had to do it on 2 computers, which is sadly what I did. The sad part was I pretended he was my brother. When I was a kid, I always wanted a brother. It's kind of embarrassing to admit, but when I was maybe 5 years old, I used to ask my mom for a brother as if it was an easy thing that you could just do. I thought you could just go to the sibling store and buy a brother, but it never happened, and I always kind of wanted one. But eventually, 10-year-old me faced reality and decided to bend it. I created a second account. Let's call him Joe. I honestly don't remember what I named him, but let's just say it was Joe. I created Joe as the older brother that had the personality I always wanted. Joe was cool. He was chill. He was unfazed and didn't have the anger issues that his younger brother did. One day I decided to introduce my brother to my friend Buddy. He seemed cool with it, and the 3 of us were in a fictional military group where me, my brother, and Buddy would try to rise the ranks with Buddy by going to trainings every week, raiding other fortresses, and having conversations as me and my brother. This is what I did. I had an old, slow, crappy laptop that was my secondary device to accomplish my scheme. My con was to try to convince as many people as I could of one thing. I have a brother named Joe. And doing all these things using 2 laptops. We did all of this stuff together for about a week. I would have fake conversations with me and my brother while Buddy was over there. I would have conversations with me and Buddy, conversations with Buddy and Joe, and eventually it gets messy. Eventually it's a tangled web. You start to get confused. So one day I was kind of tired. I wasn't really thinking straight, and the following thing happened. Buddy was unusually quiet. He's a fast typer with a decent computer, so if Buddy doesn't talk for like a solid minute, it's kind of serious. So I froze. My palms were sweaty, my heart rate increased, a mini panic attack ensued, and my chest felt like it had a tiny elephant pushing me down. The world I had built was collapsing around me, soon to be found out. I was about to be exposed. He's not gonna trust me anymore. We're not gonna be friends anymore. Yeah, Buddy was smart. He kinda knew a lot sooner than I thought he did. I kinda thought I was getting away with it, but Buddy knew for at least a solid day and chose not to say anything. I think he was a little curious to see how far it would go. He knew and seemed to be pretty forgiving, so I stopped doing it. But the problem is that Buddy isn't the only person I tried to convince. Other friends of mine noticed that my brother wasn't around anymore, and so I was honest with them about it, expecting the same response that Buddy gave. Most of them laughed, but one or two friends thought it was weird and stopped talking to me. They felt like it was a red flag, and I know at least one of those friends couldn't really see past it, and that kinda sucks. And if you're one of those people that thinks I'm kinda weird now, I understand, but I am sure that a fair few of you watching this have tried to pull a stunt like this before. You might have been 11, 16, or even 20. Maybe you pretended you were older than you were. Maybe you said your dad was the CEO of TechDex or something. As human beings, we find creative ways to validate ourselves, especially in the technological age. It's in the past, right? I mean, I hope for you it is, because I know some adults are still pulling stunts like this right now as we speak. And I'm not talking about making an alt, I'm not talking about pulling a prank. I mean a moment where you were genuinely pretending to be someone that's interacting with you that isn't you. If you've ever done that sort of thing, you're not alone. And I'm finding out that it's actually sort of common. People just don't like to talk about it publicly because it's embarrassing. And I'm starting to wonder if is it too late to delete this video? Because there's definitely something psychologically interesting about you if you're the personality type that's ever tried to be someone that isn't you. I'd rather not get too deep into that, but I think the gist is that we sometimes try to be other people because we don't always like what's in the mirror. And we find these ways to validate ourselves, to feel better about ourselves. But it always gets messy eventually. Eventually you're found out, or you end up giving yourself a massive headache the deeper you tangle yourself into this web of lies. You'll start to forget which account said what to who, which promises Joe made, and which moments Steve had with who. The longer you do it, the harder it gets. You start to lose yourself and your identity becomes unclear, because trying to be someone you're not is also being yourself, if that makes sense. In fact, I think it was Mr. Rogers who once said, "I feel so clean like a money machine. Big boys coming." Sorry, this is wrong. He said the toughest thing is to love somebody who's done something mean to you, especially when that person is yourself. Just be yourself, even if yourself completely changes tomorrow. That's fine, because you are awesome. Forgive yourself. That's the lesson. There we go. Good vibes, I guess.